learned.
Oh, there's Pete. Thanks for showing
Here
up.
I
Pete.
am.
Appreciate
I'm
that.
out of the alpha meeting and I'm into the production meeting. One
See?
to the other.
I hop off the alpha meeting so I can get here early to make sure everything's set up. So when Pete walks in, the stage is set for Pete to be the front man because I'm just kind of the guy behind the scenes. I have no value. I just smile and make bad jokes and play guitar.
Mitch
You're
used the
Robin.
wizard. He's
You're
the man
Robin.
behind the curtain. That's it.
It's crazy. The meeting that I just came from, we just taught our agents again an hour-long class on multiple offers because believe it or not, we're seeing multiple offers all the time right now. That's
Wow.
how much our
Wow.
market is different than a lot of the markets in the around. We listed a 1,100 square foot condo at Sundial Lodge at 1.5 million, got 5 offers. We have it under contract at 1.8.
Wow.
What was it listed for?
1.5, 5 offers, and the winning offer was 1.8.
How many square
And
foot?
1,100 square feet.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
It's made for people like me and Jen, my wife. We're about the only 2 people who can fit in there.
Listen,
That's
Lurchy
classified.
right now,
Yeah.
That's classified as
Lurchy
affordable
right now
housing.
is trying to figure out. Lurchy's trying to figure out how he can get a plane ticket and come out and work with you in Park City. That's what's going through his brain. Go ahead, Matty.
You see the smoke moving, don't you, Pete? Hey, Pete, let me tell you something. That condo's, I'm not sure. I don't know the condo, but I know your guest house. I love your guest house at that square footage, brother. My wife got it.
What's
She
that?
knows the code.
Same square
She's going
footage.
right in.
That's it. All right, so
And
today's class,
down in-
as we talk about homes that we can't afford, it's so funny. We listen to to Dave in Park City and Pete and in La Jolla and Maddie in La Jolla and Catherine. Then you got Lurchy and I in poor countries where the average price is 350,000 and we're happy.
Well, we do a lot of business in Salt Lake, and I think we got 15 or 20 properties under contract down there, and most of those are 500 to 800. So there's very affordable stuff down in Salt Lake, and Salt Lake to Park City is a 25-minute drive usually, so it's not very far.
Not bad.
But anyway,
All
moving
right, so
on.
today we are talking about paid marketing and is there an ROI on it? And so basically going over what you guys have done for paid marketing and what has been the return on investment. ROI, for those that don't know, means return on investment, which could be time return on investment or money return on investment. And so Pete, go ahead and kick it off with who you want to start with.
All right, awesome. I'm going to start with Dynamite Dave Lawson, the luxury leader out there in Park City, because he was coming in hot already with the multiple offers. So Dave, what are you using to get the best ROI in paid marketing and free marketing? I want to touch on both because there's people out there that may not have the budget to pay to play in the marketing realm, and they may need some ideas from a guy like you on what you also do on the free marketing side to get your name and likeness out there.
Well, the vast majority of the things that we do that are very successful are paid. So the first thing I'm going to say as a general statement, and everybody in their own market is going to talk about their own separate things, but I believe right now mailers are our mailers, whether they're our handwritten letters, our trifold brochure, our just the facts letter, whatever it is, they're all way more effective right now than they have been in a very long time. And I keep asking myself, what is working? Because you got to know in your business, gang, what's working, right? You need to keep track. And we're finding a lot of that. And so there's a couple things that we've done. All of our mailers, letters, postcards, anything that we're sending out, we're putting a QR code on it right now. And the thing is I think because 2022, 20 or 23, I'm sorry, and 24, the business kept getting harder and harder, that so many of the agents are really struggling right now. So when you're struggling, what does everybody else do? I always say, find out what everybody else is doing and go the other direction, right? Well, I don't have the money to, I don't want to spend a dollar to send a mailer out, right? That's what they're thinking. So now when we send our mailers out, we're just getting the response that we're getting is just way better. All right. So we write letters to when we have a buyer, and Ross, I bet you do some of the same thing. You know, if we have a Zillow buyer and they want to be in a particular building or a neighborhood or something, you know, we write a letter to all the seller or all of the homeowners in the building, right? There's 94 units in Silverado, and for about $120, I can send 94 handwritten letters. And what does the letter say? It says, you know, dear Silverado owner, my client, the Stout family from the desert in or Palm Springs, has looked at everything in Silverado that they can't, and they're looking and they've decided they want to be in Silverado. And if you or anyone you know in the building are thinking of selling, call us. And then we have a QR code. That has been very, very effective. And the thing is don't do the BS one, which is write a letter into a building and says, hey, you know, we've done a lot of business and we have buyers and all that. No, be specific. And I tell people on my team that if you don't really have a buyer, we're absolutely positively not going to do that. And then if a seller calls me up and says, hey, you know, the Stout family from Palm Desert, you know, are those real people? And I say, you know what, Mr. Seller, if if I tell you that I have a family coming and they want to buy, I guarantee you they're real. In fact, so much that I would consider it to be real estate malpractice if I sent you a letter that says I have a buyer when I don't. And what that does is it completely diffuses the whole thing, and all of a sudden they're a real person. But the key to it isn't the letter. The key is that he is a real buyer, that and we talk a little bit about him and his family or whatever. So that's one. You all know that we've talked about this many times. Oh, there goes my water. You know, these things from RM marketing, these are awesome. Um, and with that, I'm going to turn it over because I got a mess to clean up.
All right, that was great stuff. Now, I just want to add on to that. And I was typing into the conversation, the chat, that Dave uses a service, you guys, to do that through EXP Luxury. And you get a special price on that by being a member of EXP Luxury. So if
Yep.
you're interested in taking your production to the next level, Dave utilizes all of the EXP Luxury marketing portfolio. And this is one of those features that you can utilize and you get a special price on it. And it looks handwritten. And as a call to action, Dave always has a QR code. So that's how he's capturing people on that. And he gets massive ROI on that. So that's one thing I would definitely suggest in this type of market. If you want to get more listings, write personal letters. Now, you don't have to belong to EXP Luxury to do that. I would always say do it if you're going after luxury listings. You need to be a part of that and make that investment. And it's tax deductible, of course, because it's helping your business. But with that being said, you can do it. You can go to Fiverr and hire somebody. You can write out the letters yourself and photocopy them. There's a lot of different ways, but you have to get that out there and get that in front of people. Okay, I want to go from Dave. I want to go over to, go ahead.
Another thing that you won't think is happening, but the vast majority of those people that we write these letters to, sorry, I'm cleaning my mess up. The vast majority of the people we write these letters to, they own a 1-bedroom and my client wants a 2-bedroom and it doesn't work out, right? So then, but now they've kind of they haven't raised their hands, but they're like, maybe I'm selling, right? Now I've got a seller that I can hyper focus and market to because they've raised their hand by saying, hey, I might consider selling, right? That is, so the thing is these buyer letters, they actually get us more listings than we actually find properties for the buyer, right? So this is actually a way to, and then the other thing is we get permission from the buyers to use their name. So Ross, is it okay as a service with the Lawson team that we're going to write letters? We might knock on doors. We might call into the neighborhoods. Would that be okay if I did that on your behalf to try to find you a property in the Silverado? And
Please do
what do you
that.
say, Ross?
Yeah.
And you say
Please do
yes.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so what else does it do? It solidifies that we're just not, going to do what everybody else does, right? And it's the it's just, and we have a rule on our team. If I do something that's really great for Ross and his family, whether he's a seller or a buyer, and I don't tell him, it has zero value, right? So this has value. So this also gets him to get real sticky with me because we're going out of our way to do other things. So
Because what's the
anyway,
alternative, Dave? You're going to tell me, okay, well, I'll send you a listing when it hits the market, right? How are you going to stay in front of me if nothing's on the market in there? This is the way that you get real sticky because now you're constantly in front of me because you're actually able to give me updates on the 94 doors you just hit, right? So love that. That's the engagement you're looking for with that action.
yeah, and it really just comes down to taking care of the client, right? If I do a great job for you, I'm going to win in so many other ways. And oh, by the way, guess what else happens? Guess what else happens with those letters, gang? So somebody in 2 months, they call me or a month or 3 months, sometimes 6 months later, a Silverado seller calls me, hey, I got this letter 6 months ago, 3 months ago. Does that Stout family, are they still looking to buy? No, they ended up buying B513. Oh, okay. And then I hesitate. Oh, so where are you still thinking? Would you still consider selling? Yes, I would. I get listings sometimes immediately, but most of the time it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road. So,
David, I have a quick question. The QR code, where does it take you?
I have
Letter.
the one QR code goes to a page that allows them to put a little information, their name, phone number, the unit number, a little bit about their unit, and then they get a CMA, what's your home worth? Another QR code goes to, are you interested in looking at the best marketing plan in Utah? Click here. And then it goes to
Awesome.
my listing presentation.
That's awesome. I
Awesome.
love that one. The best marketing plan in Utah.
I'm
love
sorry,
that. You
the
should
most
have one,
successful.
Catherine, that says, yeah.
Sorry, it's the most successful marketing plan.
Ooh, I like
So-
that even better. So maybe we have one, the most successful marketing plan west of Paris, of Paris, or something like that.
That's right.
So then you cover everything. That's a great question. Dave, great information. I want to go from Dave to Lurch. Lurchy, what are you using for your best resources to get an ROI, whether you have to pay or not pay, marketing wise?
Well, a lot of people say you should be paying for ads on social media and stuff like that. I can't. I'm in Facebook jail. I don't know how I ever got in it, but I can't pay for ads on there. I don't know. Somebody got me in trouble, I think, an election or so ago, and I don't know. But the bottom line is, so I had to go outside of that. And I always, always, always ask for business or do a tag somewhere in the lines in some of my posts that if I do have a house and I do have a buyer, I actually mention her name, just like Dave. I don't say last names. And whenever I do post, I always congratulate them with their first and last names or their first names or initials, whatever it might be, to show that they're real people, or at least that they're not just some generic thing. In the mailers, the best thing I did was listen to you guys, where you guys use RM and stuff like that. I actually did something different. We've done. We went to Thanks.io and we do these 6x9 color postcards that have different things, that have messages. You hit QR codes and it has my video giving a story, telling about a house, giving a market update to an area, whatever it might be. But again, the second somebody clicks it, it says the message from Craig, it comes to my KB core, it goes to my Brivity. So it goes right through that QR code where, like Dave's saying. And these are 91 cents a piece. I'll be honest, I looked at what you guys had. It was really expensive for what I wanted to do. And for now, this is what we're doing. Not saying we're not going to that system that you have, but it's really not implemented into my area yet. And I would have to give them the data to put in it versus them pulling the data. So it wasn't really dollar productive for me to have to do the work for them where it wasn't here. But the mailers, like I said, we did that mailer. It cost us $15,000 last year. And I got one listing we already just put under contract and called directly from it. And we're going to make 31,000. So I've already funded my mailers to this one pocket all year from this one sale. And that came from somebody a year ago that we were just nurturing, and they raised their hand in January and we sold it in 3 weeks. So all the systems work. It's a matter of doing it. If you have no money, then at least work a small pocket. Get a pocket that's turning, not something that somebody's controlling 50% of. If you're going to come battle with me, you better be ready to be mailing twice a week, because I'm mailing twice a month now in my market of that 900 people. So if you're going to battle with me, you better have some money to battle with me, but battle where nobody else is battling, and battling where nobody else is controlling a market. That's where you can win, and you can do it with minimal money, especially if you're door knocking and going out that way. But Dave is absolutely right. Do not send blind letters. Use names, use a little description about the people, and have their okay, because that will definitely, in the buyer agency world of added value, get you buyer signing agencies, and for more money than other agents are saying they're doing. I'm like, great, you can go to them for X, or you can come to us, but we're spending money to find buyer sellers for you, not just going off the multiple. So that's pretty much where we're at, kind of tweaking it. And
I love that. What's the name of the company that you were using again? Lurchy, what's the name of the company?
We were using Thanks.io.
Thanks.io. Do they create the messages, or do you have to create the message?
We kind of create some of our own. We are also using the EXP Canva, some of the stuff that's in there. You can use the same thing. Take the EXP Canva, load it into that marketing. You can also use, I believe in the EXP Canva, you can go right out of there too. And I also know in the luxury or in Brivity, if you have Brivity, some CRMs do it. I just found that these are the most dollar productive right now that let us also customize it the most of what we want to do. Like I said, 91 cents for these 6x9 double-sided color, including postage. And I can't find
those. Is it so? Answer this: is it Thanks.io or is it Thanks.io.com?
Thanks.io. I'll put it in the thing.
I'm putting it in right now.
And if anybody needs anything, email me. I'll get you to my phone. You can take all these templates we have, just change the picture. I don't care. I'm here to share. Whatever you want, you can have it.
Unless you have a red smoking jacket, then you're all set for Valentine's Day.
Hey,
If
hey,
you have a
hey,
red
this
smoking
jacket,
jacket, you look just like Lurch. Look at him.
remember, this jacket was black. Bona changed it to red in Photoshop. And at St. Patrick's Day, she changed me to a green one. Same jacket,
I
just
love it.
changing color.
Looks like $1 million. Who wouldn't? That's a lover right there, a lover of real estate sales. So who wouldn't want to go with him? Okay, I want to go over to Ross the Boss. He's in a new studio. He's looking good. He's out of the desert. He's now in Southern California, so he's handling the desert. Southern California is all over the place. Ross, what are you guys using for marketing to get the best ROI in paid marketing and free marketing? What angles are you utilizing?
Yeah, so I hear Matt say it all the time, and he's saying real estate is a business of lead gen, right? That's what real estate business is. It's generating leads. And then I hear Lurch and I hear Dave, and they're talking about their processes. And then I hear about their sales that are happening. Lurch got that 31K from a person that came in a year ago. And Dave's talking about these listings come back 5-6 months after that initial contact. And I'll get to the lead gen. But what I wanted to talk about first was what I'm talking about with my team right now is a long-lasting, successful business is in what I call the middle. That person that's not hot, and it's not the person that you're just discarding out of your CRM because it's bad information. It's everyone in between the hot buyer and the non-buyer. And that's what I call the middle. So it could be someone who's later than 3 months out, all the way to a year, 2 years out. How are we going to handle those leads? And that's the difference between a successful real estate career and someone who's working a job going sale to sale. If you are able to take everyone that comes in your path and at some point, whether it's today or 5 years down the line, find conversion, that's called a scalable and real business plan. That is not selling homes. That is providing a true business for yourself and for anyone that decides to get affiliated with you. So that's what we're working right now in the middle, because lead gen, thankfully, has become easy for us, just like Dave knows with the Zillow Flex. I have about a 700 lead campaign a month, and that's where we're getting a lot. And we're actually expanding. So I'm doing a beta test right now with paid leads and putting them back into my processes. So when a lead comes in, right, talking about the middle, the paid services we're doing is just our CRM and using AI to generate communications and tasks. And so we're staying on point. I always tell my team that when I was first starting back in 2010, I was just keeping stuff on sticky pads. And I had a guy that got slipped underneath a piece of paper, and I didn't see it. I was supposed to call him 2 days ago. I call him. He's like, sorry, Ross, I already bought a house. I'm in escrow. And like in 2010, that would have been a $10,000 deal for me, which might have been, well, it's been like 5 million bucks. And I said, I can never do this again. So I had to start building systems. And that's why I really take pride in a strong back end and follow up, because that's where you make money. Not everyone's going to be hot. Like I deal with a lot of people who are like, these leads are bad. Nobody's ready to do anything. It's like, well, you've talked to them for 3 days. How can you determine that that's a bad lead? Because they're not writing a contract with you the second they meet you. That's something that we need to get over, especially as newer agents. Like, you're not going to get an immediate ROI. What you can do is implement an immediate system where leads come in, like all these guys are talking about. They have QR codes, they have funnels, they have CRMs, they have processes of following up. You need to find out what your lead gen system is. If you have no money, if it's open houses, what are you going to develop? QR codes are cheap. You can print them on paper at home. How are you going to get people in your path so you can make a positive impact on their life and help them with the biggest transaction they'll probably ever make? So there's so many different systems. What we're doing, like Dave said, if there's someone who, to find that off-market opportunity, we're actually not doing those postcards. We're going directly, like if it's in a plan development, We're finding everyone on title that has the same floor plan that this person wants, and we're calling on those homes. And then we're able to update that buyer on a daily basis with our interactions of those people. And we're making notes, continuing to follow those, because now those are listing leads that we contacted. So we're enriching our buyer lead all the while obtaining seller leads. And if you're not looking at every interaction with somebody who's talking about transacting as an opportunity to gaining, to earn money in this business while giving great service, you're doing yourself a disservice. Like I've heard on my team on our group call, like just the other day, somebody was telling me that, they have somebody, and guess what? Like they're looking here, but they're also looking in Paris, right? And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, that's why you work for a global broker. Just do an EXP to EXP referral. Why are we not looking down that avenue? Because that's a fresh way to make income. Like find that work in the middle, find an avenue for everyone that comes in your path where you can advance your business by adding services to the person that you're dealing with. So chase every opportunity. You don't have to pay money to be able to offer all these services that you have with your brokerage. Like that's what you get. Leverage it, understand it, know it. And then as you continue to invest, like I just spent $6,000 yesterday to advance my lead generation system, because I personally feel that if I put my systems with more opportunities, the ROI will just continue to increase. If I can keep a 2, 3, 10x capability with systems, then the more money I spend, the more money I'm going to earn, because I have more and more opportunity to do it. So that's what I'm looking at in my business model. We found the sweet spot. We found the systems. You just need to find yours, and then you need to find where you need to invest. You have to test, right? But you do have to spend money to make money in this business, to make the real money. But as you're just getting started, there's plenty of free activities to grow a database. All you're trying to do is grow a database, get people in your path, and continually touch them in a positive way. And that's how you grow a real estate business.
Love it. That's awesome stuff. Listen, he's out of the desert, you guys. He was on fire. He got out of the desert. He's still in the desert, but he's expanding. It's like he's playing real life Risk or something. He's starting to take over all the counties, right?
The counties are falling, man.
The counties are falling. That's awesome, Ross. Thanks for sharing all that. Let's go from Ross to my favorite guy up in North County, North San Diego. He's not bragging. He's just applying for a job. Mr. Matt Battiata. Matty, what are you doing right now, marketing-wise, that's giving you the best ROI? And what would you recommend to people out there if they didn't have a huge budget? What should they do?
So I do a lot of the things that I do. I'm doing handwritten cards, which does cost. I mean, most of what I do is paid, but so I definitely do, like David said, I love handwritten. I didn't even know that EXP Luxury had a service that would send out handwritten cards. I use a company called Letter Labs, which I've used for a long time. And I really like sending those out. I send them out when I sell a house. I've got a couple of leads recently by people that just lived in the same neighborhood. I sold a house in there, and I sent them a little card saying, with the USP on it, of course, because it's very important that you have the right messaging that'll make people respond. So I basically said, look, I just sold your neighbor's house. And I did say we had multiple offers, and we've got other buyers that want to buy in the neighborhood. And I'm so confident with the marketing that I do that I can sell your home, that I'll actually guarantee your home sold, or I'll buy it myself. And so this guy called me up and said, well, I have a house here, plus I've got a condo. How does that work? And so I went and met with him the other day, and I'm going to list this condo and then list this house. So just from that little cheap little mailer, that costs hardly anything to send out. So I love the handwritten cards. I also do, which I always talk about, this magazine, which I keep expanding every month. And the reason I really like this magazine is it's 32 pages, right? So I can put I can put listings in here. I can put lots of USPs in here. I have all the luxury marketing that we do with EXP Luxury. I have all bunch of different USPs. And one USP that I've been using a lot lately is this one, guaranteed cash offer on your home, right? Because we all see all the ads on TV and online constantly, all these investors saying they'll pay cash for your house. So I have this in here, and I got a call about 2 weeks ago. A little sweet little old lady called me and said she's got a man in her church who has dementia, and he's been living in this condo for 25 years by himself, and she's got to get him out of there. And so the church all got together and said, we got to get him out, we got to get him in a nursing home. And the house was in or the condo was in really bad shape. And she said, I get these mailers from you, because she lives in Encinitas, where this condo is. And she said, I'm calling you because I think I can trust you, but I'm also calling, a couple of these companies from TV. So that's great, because I know exactly what their playbook is, right? For all these other companies. So I knew that I could go in there and get the listing or get the property for one of my investor clients. But that came from this magazine, and that's, a pretty big commission. And the other thing that I do is this thing gets mailed out. I sell to all my vendors in the back. They pay for ads in the back of the magazine to help pay for it, which you can't really do with a postcard. You got a lot more real estate here, where you can actually get, put off the cost. You can have your lender advertise in there. You can have your painter or your floor, whoever you send business to. But the other thing that I'm doing with this is these all get mailed out through direct mail every month. But I'm able to order extra ones. And because I thought, well, I can, when I go to the car wash, they always have a bunch of real estate magazines at the car wash. So I thought, why can't I have my real estate magazine at the car wash? So I actually bought a couple of magazine racks on Amazon. And then I went out to the car wash and I asked for the owner, and I said, hey, do you mind if I put my magazine with all your other real estate magazines and local magazines? He said, no, go ahead. So now I have these at like 3 car washes around Encinitas and Cardiff, and people pick them up, and I get calls from people. So what I like about this, I used to do the real estate marketing, which I think is great, but I wasn't able to get, advertisers in there. And so with this thing, I probably got 4 different USPs in this magazine, because I've got 32 pages to play with, right? So, that's what I'm doing.
Matt, what does it cost, and what is your distribution how are you picking who you're mailing this to?
Yeah, so I'm mailing this to now about 16,000 homes. It costs, when you get up to a volume, I think over 10,000 or maybe over 7,500 homes, the cost goes down to I think it's like 70 cents a mailer. So it's actually cheaper. Believe it or not, I send out this thing cheaper than what a postcard would cost, right? That's why I like it.
Matt, who's the company?
It's called the Neighborhood Connection. I'll put it in the chat. And the funny story with that is the guy that started this company, a guy named Ryan Green, he was my courier when he was a student at San Diego State, and he was my courier like 15 years ago. He used to go around and, put on lock boxes and take off lock boxes and, stuff like that. So he's done really, really well. They do this all over the country. And I think it's great, and like I say, what I really like about it is being able to sell ads in the back, right?
Yeah. And it's
Because the Neighborhood Connection. And in fact, I'll put the guy's number in here for everybody. The guy that I work with, his name is Lee DeLay, and if you tell him I referred you, he will give you a discount. Let me put his number in here. But anyway, and the interesting thing is, guys, I did that. I was doing that. I started doing that in like 2019, pre-pandemic. And And then when when COVID happened, I said, "Oh, I gotta cut back," and I kind of fell out of it. And then you kind of get bored with some of the marketing that you do, even though it works. And so I ramped it up again, and it's working really well. I've gotten, I don't know, probably $10 million worth of listings recently just from this magazine. It's also a great listing tool when you go to an appointment. And they also give an exclusive. So if you want to mail to a particular area, assuming no one else has already signed up for that area, there you go, lead delay, neighborhood connection. They give you the exclusive. So you have it locked up,
Yeah, and
There,
if
it's lead
you
delay. I put
call,
that
you'll
in there.
get, if you mention Matt, you'll get a discount, and Matt gets a free
Yeah, you get a
free hair
discount.
he gets a free hair treatment. So
Matt,
that's
it's a
pretty good.
very
Yeah.
It's a very, very small world because I went into real estate after practically losing my direct mailer magazine that I had. And Ryan is the one who purchased my magazine.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and saved me from a complete catastrophe financially. And he's an awesome guy. And they still have my incredible graphic designer. So it's such a
Wow.
incredible. Yeah, but he's
That is wild. So you started this magazine, Neighborhood
no,
Connection?
no, I did the Uptown Downtown Community Magazine, which was like a dining guide with all kind of other business, one of each, and direct mail. And Ryan, who worked with the reader at the time as well, purchased my magazine, which was in downhill because of everything going online. So I owe him a lot. And that's how I ended up in real estate. But they do a fabulous job, and yeah.
Yeah, that's
Small
awesome.
world.
Wow, it
Small
is a
world.
small world.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and
hey, Matt, I
and-
wanted to ask you one
go ahead.
question about that magazine. So
Yes.
when you send out that magazine, I know it's once a month. You said 4 advertisers, correct? What do
I
those
have,
advertisers?
yeah,
What are they paying
pay?
a year to be in the book with you?
Well, they pay about, it depends, but some of them pay like $2,000 a month. Some of them pay $500 a month or $1,000 a month. What I think I'm going to do, and Catherine, maybe you would have some advice on this, but it's hard to get a average, my painters and home inspection companies and so forth to pay, be willing to pay $1,000 a month, right? So what I thought I would do is do a preferred. I've been actually talking with Diane about this, a preferred vendor directory in the back of the magazine, and just charge everybody, $500 or $250. But then you can have an electrician, a plumber, a roofer, a painter, a flooring guy, whatever, and it's not that expensive. That's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think about that, Catherine? Because they'll pay $250 or $500 a month. It's just hard to get them to pay more than that,
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a great idea. My magazine was really the coupon. It was like a classy looking, coupon magazine. At the end of the day, truthfully, if you can have your vendors advertise but offer some kind of a good coupon, they will actually get response from it and
Yeah.
then be pay more and more from it. So even though you might think it might cheapen your, magazine, it's not. If it's done really classy, nice pictures, not like a explosion of, words, just make it look classy. It was so effective. I had a whole insert of just home improvement in my magazine. I had about 120 restaurants and maybe 40 different, home improvement type of business, and then one restaurant and this one, that. So for sure, it was very effective because there were true value coupons, not 10% off. Like I could definitely let you know what kind of offer works for what kind of business. And I'd be super happy to share that because I did it for 20 years and my magazine was extremely successful.
Yeah, cool. All right.
That's give my input on that end, you know, what to put in this
Yeah, I would
magazine.
love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the only thing about doing the directory, right? If you do a directory, there's not really room to do like, a coupon or a discount or whatever. But you make a great point though.
Do both.
I guess I could do both. I could do a directory. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do a VIP directory and just have at the bottom a cool thing and say all these VIP vendors offer a 10% discount if you mention Matt.
Well, I think Catherine was saying that's not good to do. You want to have like an
10% is
actual offer.
no bueno. You need to have a free something to really get people to even look at it. 10% is like, nobody is going to get excited. But would you get excited about 10%, Pete? About anything? Seriously.
I don't know. I'm pretty cheap, so maybe I would get excited for 10%. I'm not sure. It depends on how many hair products.
Okay. Well, you might be the only one to get excited about that, but that's good. You are easy man. Good news.
Yes, I try to be. I try to be. That's the main thing. All right, awesome, Matt. Thank you for sharing that with Neighborhood Connect. And I mean, what do you feel it would cost somebody to do the neighborhood connection in an area of say 500 houses?
I think they might have a minimum of maybe I'm not sure. I shouldn't say, but it's probably at 500 homes. It's probably like it's probably $1.30 a piece, or maybe $1.50 a piece. I'm guessing. You know what I mean? So,
well, it's even $2. It's $1,000 a month, right? You have to sign a 12-month contract.
Yeah.
So that might be a good option for you guys because it's 24 pages, Matty.
32.
32. Okay.
Yeah, it's 32. So you can really get a lot. I mean, honestly, you can. I mean, I'll just show you. I always have a little, an introduction, and then I've got all the EXP luxury weekend, and then I've got why use us to sell your home. I mean, I've got a lot of propaganda in here. I've got our concierge program. I've got cash offer. And then I've got, testimonials. I've got if you're relocating, we got you covered,
Awesome.
And then I've got listings. And I get, the other thing is there's something in marketing that is called the halo effect. I think there's other terms for it, but basically it's like when you get a mailer from some company, if it doesn't look very nice, they make a judgment about you and your business, right? Especially in real estate, because people are hiring us to market their homes. Whereas if they get something that they think looks really nice and professional and really well done, like I change these pictures every month. I would try to get a really cool, beautiful photo. This goes to Encinitas and Cardiff and South Carlsbad. So I try to get like a local shot of somewhere that people know. But I get comments all the time of people that say, the reason I called you is I get your magazine and it's really well done. It really looks nice. And so that's why they respond to it, it's also because of the USPs and stuff, but it doesn't look like a cheap, it looks nice, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. That's a great idea. And it gives you a lot of traction and it gives you a lot of calls to action. Maddie, are you doing QR codes where they have landing pages or they go somewhere?
Yeah, I have a QR code on the back here, which is, I think, check the value of your home. And I think I've got another one in here for a cash offer. Yeah, but I'm a big fan of QR codes for sure.
Hey, Matt, do you have a PDF of that?
Awesome.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Okay,
Can we send it to you?
Yeah, please. Or put it in the chat if you could.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Cam. Hey, Cam, what marketing are you doing? What are you using to get the best ROI? What free marketing are you using to get your name out there to get more listings, more sales?
Good stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of go off of what everyone's already said, but again, give it a little bit different twist, right? That's what I do. So first off, if we're going to talk about paid marketing, because that's kind of the idea here, I can talk about some free stuff as well. But if we're talking about paid marketing, let's remember what we're trying to do there. What is the objective of paying for marketing, right? It's to build a database, or it's to build your contacts list. So first step for everyone that's on the call, and this is obviously geared towards more new agents or agents that don't have, you know, a million leads coming in, if you're not fully maximizing your contacts list, what's in your phone, the people you already know, your database, right? If you're not already reaching out and following up with those people, there's no reason to start paying for leads just to fill up that database more with people that you're not going to follow up with. I'm sure we've all been there. I know I personally have, where I start paying for too many leads that I can't get to, and then it all just is like a big waste of money. So make sure that if you're not already putting in the time to reach out and talk with and make contact with the people that you're already working with, the people in your phone. If you don't have any past clients, your friends, your family, your sphere of influence, that's the very start, you guys, right? It's just basic prospecting, but that is the start of paid lead generation. So you need to be doing that, and you need to be doing that efficiently. So once you though get into maximizing everything that you have, or your people that you know, you need to have a plan or a purpose for your ad spend. Okay, so what I mean by that is, if you're going to do online buyer leads, which is a a very common tactic. There's a million companies out there that do it. Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, those type of places, they work. They have great stuff. I mean, a lot of people have grown immensely successful teams just based on Zillow. The key, though, is the follow-up, and it's having the people in place to follow up with the leads properly, so you're not missing out on those sales and converting. Because as you all know, you have to spend a couple thousand to get a big deal that, like Craig was saying, man, 15 grand made me 30. But you have to make sure you get that one that sold for 15 grand, or you just wasted it. So you have to be doing the follow-up properly. I love Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. Those are the three main online buyer lead sources that a lot of our teams are using to have success. The one that I've had a lot of success with, though, is Google local service ads. And that actually ties into your Google business profile. The reason I love it is that you only are charged when someone actually reaches out to you and they are a buyer that qualifies, meaning that they're looking for a house, they're not looking for rentals, or whatever it may be. Now, the key to local service ads, you guys, is your reviews. You have to have a lot of Google reviews. You have to constantly be adding to them, asking everybody that you know to add, give you a review. It doesn't have to just be past clients, which a lot of people, they don't understand. They think it has to be someone they physically worked with. But anyone that you work with, any of the vendors that you're working with, any of the restaurants and the people around you, you leave them a review, they leave you a review, because you're friendly. That's how you work. You're networking, and it's a great thing to do. So I really like the Google local service ads. Now, what I do prefer, though, and we're going to kind of break into what Matt was talking about there, is niching down into a community or a neighborhood. Do the mailers. We've talked about that extensively. It doesn't matter if you're doing a book like Maddie's. That book is incredible. Or you're doing the real marketing, or you're just filling out handwritten letters. Last week, I went down to an area down by one of our listings because I was trying to package a deal together. And I actually had to stop by Hallmark and got just blank cards, wrote a letter on them, wrote a note on them saying, hey, sure, this is what I'm trying to do. No one was there, so couldn't talk to anybody. Left it on their front door. 4 days later, they call me and they want $4.5 million for that lot, and they want to sell it. They're interested. So now we can put multiple lots together. We're about 4 of them together. We've been able to use just handwritten note cards that I dropped off on their door to get about $8 million in listings in this last week. Simple stuff, but you got to get out there and do it, right? You got to have the right USP, as Matt was saying. Obviously, they understand if you can package a bunch together, it has way more value than if you're trying to sell one individual lot as it is. But they called and they reach out, so it works. You just have to do it. We love the Thanks IO cards. I've actually reached out with them and partnered with them because we recommend it to everyone. Thanks IO is great. The real marketing is great. Those are fantastic. You got to be using that stuff to kind of market out to the neighborhood. The other thing that I recommend, so if you have some money and you want to spend some money on stuff, make sure you already have the basics, like proper branded open house signs, and you have enough of them. Because if you're going to spend your time targeting neighborhoods and you're doing the work there, you need to be making sure that you're also building that brand so people have the potential opportunity to know who you are, or remember that color, or remember that logo, or remember your face, whatever it may be. But if you don't spend the money in the first place to do it, there's no reason to go and waste $5,000 on online leads if you don't have your proper open house signs and the prop brandage going on. You got to set the business up properly. So I think that's very important. And you can combine that, and this is what I was going to say, is you can combine that with doing social media stuff. So, tail it all around. You can run YouTube ads that are focused on one community. And guess what you're trying to do there? You're trying to drive them to a Facebook group, or you're trying to drive them to a landing page so they can build a community on what people find interesting. We have a big, kind of a worldwide known community called Babcock Ranch. It's a solar powered community, even though it costs more in electricity to live there than it does to be on the solar grid, but that doesn't matter. Solar powered community, that's their selling point, right? So there's a lot of people that are looking it up online. You can make content for that, or you can make YouTube ads for that run during the ad section that are directing people back to the community for this, amazing community that people are interested in, and you're able to build up that natural community, or like I was saying earlier, that contact list, or that your database there, and you're able to reach out to those people. And those are just another way to think about that. It doesn't have to just be buying it from Zillow. You can really bring multiple angles on it, but you have to have a plan. You have to have a purpose with that ad spend that you're trying to do. And if you do all of that, you're not going to waste money, because everything's going to be doing multiple things. It's going to be growing your brand. It's going to be growing the leads. You're going to be able to follow up with people. And then obviously, if you're constantly working your database, you're going to be growing those referrals. So yeah, that's what I got on ad spend.
I like it. Awesome. I like the Google clicks, but you made a really key point. Key point, you guys, is everything has to fall in place for the branding. It has to look the same and all click together. That's a really important point with your open house signs, everything, so people can identify you. All right, let's go to Catherine real fast, then we're going to go to Gary, and then we'll be done. Catherine, what are you using for lead generation, whether it's pay or non-pay, and what's giving you the highest ROI? Go ahead. You got 3 minutes.
I want to skip myself because I don't feel I have a lot to offer. So I would prefer to hear somebody else who has actually some good input, honestly.
I think you have a lot to offer, but c'est magnifique. It's not a problem. And we will go over to Gary Massa. So Gary Massa, he's not the owner of the famous chip company. We know that, but he does have a lot of great ideas when it comes to marketing and getting ROI on his marketing. What are you using right now to get the highest ROI?
I mean, again, there was a lot said, with all the speakers earlier today. I've used a lot of different systems over the years. I think the one thing that I could add on top of all of that, I'm back in a lot of testing phases, right? And Cam mentioned and also Ross mentioned, you got to be testing, A/B testing all the time, figuring out what's working, what's not working. There's been times when I've gotten a huge ROI from, let's say, luxury magazines like Dream Homes Magazine. That's still probably my highest ROI ever. But then there was a point where that stopped working. And then online lead generation with, home value leads, basically, that we are generating ourselves. We had it at a very low cost, and the ROI was working really well with that. But then all of a sudden that changed. So being, really in tune with your market and where you're spending your ad dollars, just so you're not wasting. And so last year I went through a lot of cuts, getting rid of the things that weren't working, so I can help, allocate those funds to more, higher ROI delivery. I think right now my highest ROI that I'm getting is within my own client experience. I use Client Giant to help nurture the clients through the escrow process, and then after the fact, it's creating a much better experience. I'm getting a lot of responses in terms of the gratitude and thanking for the different gifts along the way, and it's creating referrals. And for me, it's a couple $1,000 a year. I think it's like $2,000 or $2,500 a year. I've got, I think, 30 or 40 clients on that on a long-term basis, plus every escrow that we're going through. And again, one referral on that pays 3 to 4 times, at minimum, which we've already been getting referrals this year on that alone. So I think right now that's probably my highest grossing. I decided last year to go heavier into my own my client database, my sphere, in using systems within my CRM to target market the people and nurture who have already got within those systems. So the only other thing that I'll add to that is I think that with all of these paid, all the paid opportunities that are out there, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to market, to advertise, and to connect with clients. But what's important, I think, to consider is the messaging that's going out to those clients or to those prospects. Do something different that's setting yourself apart. Don't keep using the same, I don't know, taglines, just sold, just listed, etc. Something that's delivering value and connecting with your audience. Using services like ChatGPT and other IO programs to be able to identify your target market. Who are you talking to? Who is your audience? And being able to tailor those messages specifically for that audience, you're going to get a much better response and engagement. So those are the only things I think I can add on top of all of this amazing insight provided by everybody today. So thank you.
No, I think it's great. And I think you made a really good point there, Gary, that, we have to go back to the basics in times like this where things are shifting. Get belly to belly, call up your past clients. That's the easiest ROI. It's the cheapest ROI, is stay in front of them, give them a call, see how their life's doing. Are they living in their dream home? How are their kids doing? Don't even talk about real estate. Real estate will naturally come up. So I think that's a big, big thing. We had some great input here today. Mitchie, I'll end it with you. Take us home. What do you feel are the best ROI advertising that you've done in the past? We got around 60 seconds. Go. You're on the clock.
Go. So obviously I'm an internet guy, so I love pay per click because I can keep my cost per lead, cost per sale down. However, if you're not having the right processes in place, I think Ross talked a lot about processes, then don't waste your money on it. For most people, honestly, I'd rather see you put your money into buying really good signs and doing open houses. If that's I understand. I wrote it in the post that most of us don't have a big budget to go out and spend on the books that Maddie has, and they're great. I just looked at them; they're affordable if you have the money, right? And it's phenomenal stuff. And by the way, Matt, he responded to me already and sent me an email. Unbelievable, great service. But I think what I want to tell you real quick in my 30 seconds I have left is understanding the hierarchy of leads, because that's really, if you're going to generate leads, you got to understand where the value comes from. One is Facebook leads, probably the worst ROI on those from a time perspective, because it's 1 out of 300 that buy or sell a home. Not a big fan. Pay-per-click is second, 1 out of 100, and these are general national averages. Property inquiry, like Ross does with Zillow Flex and stuff like that, are run average on 3, but I know a lot of people getting 10% on Zillow Flex. And then you have your open house leads. Those are your best quality. That's your hierarchy of leads. So to me, for most people, and I'll end it on this, I'd recommend you spend your time and effort on open houses, especially right now where it's a buyer's market in most markets, and that's where the money is. You need to be going after buyers right now. Sellers are great, and a lot of stuff we talked about today is sellers. And you gotta be working your database. That's your number one tool. There you go. Mitch, in 60 seconds.
I think that's great. I'll end it with my little tip, and I'm going to put it in the thing. If you're doing open houses, get a app called Curb Hero, CURB Hero.com, and that will link to your database. It links to Follow Up Boss for Us, and it'll make a custom sign-in sheet on your iPad, on your phone, whatever you want people to type in. Then you get their real info, and then after that, you can set them up on a drip system, either through Curb Hero or we use HomeBot. And it kind of creates their own Zillow's estimate on their house if they have a house to sell. If they don't, it'll at least send them what's coming up in the area that they're looking and searching, and you'll stay in front of them. But you still have to call them. That's the key. Okay. So great session today, you guys. We'll see you next week. Invite some people. Have a great weekend. Rates are coming down, all positives. Get everybody buying. Now's the time to buy. We're coming into the spring market. This is where it really ramps up. Let's have fun. Dave's still on the slopes. As you can see, his hair's still slicked back. He's spilling water on himself, all types of stuff. But great contributions today, and everybody have a great weekend. Thanks again.
Peace, everybody. See you later, guys.
Thanks.
Bonne
See you
journée.
guys.
Au revoir.
Matt, I'm calling you.